Welcome to Candid Conversation Season 3. This is your host Mwangi Chege, and this is where we enlighten minds, inspire people, and enrich lives. We are hanging out tonight with Pastor Caro, who I'll give a chance to introduce herself. We're hanging out at Hotel Troy on Magadi Road, just after Galleria. It's on the right, really a nice place. I encourage you to just pass there and enjoy a nice time. Pastor Caro, kindly introduce yourself to us.
Well, I'm very excited to be here, and thank you very much for the opportunity to come and just share and just be part of this conversation. My name is Pastor Caroline Musioki from Jubilee Christian Church, Parklands. I am a counseling psychologist and a pastor that works with children and teenagers. And I love helping people to come out of trauma, to come out of things that they have gone through in life that have made them stay stuck in one position, and to just see people coming out and becoming the best that God intended them to be.
Amazing stuff right there.
Yeah.
You know, it's encouraging to know that the pastor of today has also gone to school and studied psychology.
Yes.
And so tonight we'll be talking about rising from trauma from a Christian perspective, because most of the time we just go to church, we are preached to, we pray and hope that everything that we ever went through has gone.
Yes.
So Pastor Caro, kindly shed a little more light on this topic about trauma.
The first thing that we need to understand as Christians, and even as just a normal human being, we're not just spiritual being. And I think that's the place where sometimes I think we have failed in the past, and just because we didn't have the knowledge. And I find it that most of us as Christians, we take care of our spiritual life, we take care of our physical life, but we never bother about our emotional state, which affects us. That's why you find someone who is born again, but they're still going through some struggles in life, and you ask yourself, I thought you're born again, why is it that you still drink? I thought you're born again, why is it that you still keep lying? But because sometimes we never focus on the soul, the soul part of a human being, which is comprised of the emotions, the will, the mind. So if we don't take care of that part, it automatically affects the other parts. So if our soul is not okay, it will affect how we view God, how we relate with God, even how we relate with other people. And I tell people, you do not get born again to go to heaven straight. The reason you're still here on earth is because you have a purpose on earth. And you as a human being will relate with other people. So how you are, how your soul is, will affect your relationship with other people. So when we talk about issues of trauma, there are things we go through in life that will affect us, and it affects our soul. And if it brings a different perspective about life, it will affect how you view God, how you relate with God, how you relate with other people. So it is very important for us, even as Christians, to think about ourselves, our emotional state, our mental state, because we have to live to the fullness. We have to live to the purpose that God created us to be. And most of the time, the thing that is hindering us from moving from where we are to where God wants us to be is the state of the soul. And that is where trauma comes in.
I like the way you're talking about the soul so passionately. Sometimes when we say soul, we many people don't understand what the soul of man is. But I also like the way you said, we are held back.
Yes.
To progress in life from the things that we went through, which are trauma, which is trauma. Kindly tell us, Pastor Caro, what are what brings about trauma?
Trauma is brought about by some of the things that we go through. It can be now or even in the past. There is nothing that you ever go through in life from conception that ever lives. It is somewhere hidden in your body, and it has effect in our life. Any negative thing that has affected us emotionally has an impact in our lives. And yes, we might not see trauma on the physical part. I can look at you, Mwangi, and say, I can see trauma on your head, I can see trauma on your hands. No, it is internal, but it affects every aspect of our lives. And some of the things that bring trauma are maybe some things like accidents. Maybe someone went through rape, someone has experienced, has witnessed, an accident, or that, like the time we went through the post-election violence. There are people who witnessed it that have been traumatized. There are people who are involved in the violence. There are people who just heard about it. We were all affected. Even in this time where we are going through the pandemic, we see that there's a lot of loss. People are losing jobs, people are losing their businesses, people are losing their friends or even their family members. It causes us trauma. And if we don't process that pain, it will affect, and it trauma can make you take a direction that you never intended in life. So it is very important for you, even as a Christian, to be aware that these things that I have gone through have affected my life. And for me to live a fully functional life as a whole being, I have got to also address those things that I have gone through and how the effect that they have had in my life. So trauma, you can be moving on in life, but because of something that you went through as a child, you are stuck as a 5-year-old, but yet you're 33-year-old. So we have to process that pain. You have to be willing to confront and to face it so that you heal that wound. Then you're able to progress in life.
So trauma is mostly brought about by like a bad experience.
Yes,
a negative experience.
A negative experience. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do you start processing? How do you start? Because as you talk, I feel like trauma brings about. It feels like you've carried baggage for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you start processing and make that burden lighter or bearable?
The first thing, you have got to accept and acknowledge that you've gone through this trauma. Just ignoring it and assuming it never happened doesn't mean it's not there. You cannot sweep trauma under the carpet. It's number one, you have to accept, you have to be willing to confront it and say, I am hurt. The pain of losing my child has hurt me. The pain of losing my job has hurt me. When you acknowledge it, then don't suppress those emotions, because most of the time, as Christians, we want to spiritualize everything. There are things that I tell people: when you have been faced by an emotional issue or challenge, you need to address it. No, it is emotional. Don't bring it. Don't try to like take medicine. Let's take for
We
example,
just go to Kesha. That's it.
or go to Kesha, or just pray and say, if I pray, it will. It's I will overcome it. Prayer is good,
Yeah.
but can you bring it out? Face it. There's some things that will never go unless they're confronted. So when you accept that you have gone through the trauma, if you need help, talk to somebody about it. And I always encourage people, talk to a professional, because sometimes you can go through an incident that you don't know how to come out of it. Even in hospitals, you'll never find a doctor treating themselves as good as they might be. They will need another doctor to treat them. So get someone that you can talk to. Get someone that you know that is a professional that can help you process the pain. Then don't assume. Look at your life and say, when I went through this and this is what happened to me. This and this happened to me. I was talking to somebody and she was just sharing with me her story, and she told me she went through such a bad breakup. Just before she got married, this guy called off the wedding. And it's many years. I think it's like 6 years right now since the breakup. But she just discovered that since that incident, she can never hold on to relationship. She's not able to hold on because she fears, if this man left me 2 days to the wedding, that means anyone can leave,
Any other man.
including her children. So she was telling me she does not attach to relationships.
So it's blown out of proportion. So it's
Yes.
not only about a relationship between her
And
and a man.
Yes.
Now it becomes almost
Anything.
all relationships.
All relationships.
So she doesn't want to be attached to the children.
Yes.
If she does not want to be attached to a boy-girl relationship.
Yes.
All this is because of trauma.
All this because of trauma that she's never processed. So we were talking and she was like, I think this is where my problem is. She fears because she's like, you can leave anytime.
Yeah.
So, and if you want to leave, she's very ready for you to leave.
So do people like those have a way to process?
Yes.
And hopefully after a while bounce back?
Yes.
And be secure, so to say.
Yes.
That they can again risk another relationship.
Yes.
They can start holding on to. Is it possible?
It is very possible because trauma leaves a wound. The same way you get involved in an accident and you have a cut, you have to treat that wound. The minute that wound is healed, even if it leaves a scar, the scar doesn't have the pain. So what happens that when we tell people to process that trauma is because we want you to move from that cocoon of pain, that even when you think about what you went through, it does not bring back that pain. So you're able to progress in life. For example, if you find someone that has broken their hand, they will go through the treatment and time for the hand to heal. But after it has healed, they're able to continue with life as usual. So it's the same thing with trauma. When you allow yourself to heal, and sometimes the healing of trauma is very painful because it's like a wound that the doctor has to open it up, squeeze the pus, and the process is very painful. And now bandage it and heal it, treat it. But after, even if it has left a scar, the scar does not have the pain. So you're able to progress in life. But as long as this wound stays there, it remains septic, you'll never progress in life. So if you are able to heal from that trauma, you can move on.
Yeah.
You can move on. And like I'm saying, the scar will remain, but it doesn't have the painful part of it. Yeah.
And I like what you said about even for Christians, let's not hide in prayer or just go share it with a pastor.
Yes.
And I know you get a lot of that.
Yes.
We run to you because of this and that. But that if that is the problem, you go to a professional.
Yes.
And was that why you took a course in psychology?
Yes, because number one, because I have worked with kids a lot, and sometimes I would see kids have gone through some issues, and I'm not able to understand why this child has changed in behavior, why this child, their faith has been affected and all that. So for me, I would apply the spiritual side and forget, okay, what is this thing that is making this child behave the way they're behaving? Is it a demon? I'll be like, you have this child as a
become a
demon
demon
of
chasing person.
yeah. So I just discovered is that this child might have gone through something, and I need to not just address it from the spiritual aspect, but can I get to that soul that is wounded? Because I also don't want it to be their defense mechanism. Because, like, sometimes as Christians, when we go through traumatic experiences, our prayer life, our serving in church becomes our defense mechanism, because it's something I'm hiding. I just don't want to come in touch with my feelings because they're very painful. So what I will do, I will pray, I will fast, I will just to numb that pain. But just because you're numbing and you're feeling you're fine right now doesn't mean it's not there.
That doesn't mean that it is healed.
It has not healed. It's just that you've covered it.
Pastor Caro, tell us, in our African culture, I will
Yes.
not talk about others because I am an African, but in our African culture, you are told, move on.
Yes.
Wacha hii mambo mingi, and for men, you're told, kaa ngumu, okay? And now you're saying that it's not possible you'll just numb the pain. But could you kindly just take us through step by step in the process, yeah, even as we talk about trauma, what are those steps? Is there number one, this, two, this, like that?
Okay, one thing is that trauma is very associated to loss. Most of our traumatic experiences are associated to a loss in our lives. It can be loss of a loved one, it can be loss of something you held very close, like during the post-election violence, there are people who lost their property.
Yeah.
So there was loss that was connected to it. And we go through the process of the first step is the denial. You go to you angry at people, you start again, you get to depression, but the ultimate goal is acceptance. So even when you've gone through the traumatic experience, the aim or the goal of your healing process should be acceptance, because when you get to acceptance, you're able to move on. So the first thing, like I've said, is number one, acknowledge you have gone through the pain. What Look at your life and ask yourself, what impact has this trauma left in my life? Like I have given an example, this lady is not able to relate with people. She cannot hold on or cling on to relationships because of the trauma she went through. So that is the effect it has had in my personal life. To others, maybe for a man, like you're saying, in the African culture, men are told don't cry, so they're not allowed to express their emotions. They're told kangumu, mwanaume ni kukaa ngumu, you cannot be like a woman. Women are the ones who cry.
Yeah.
So they're not allowed to express their emotions. You need to express your emotions in whatever way. Some cry, some wail, some they just become dramatic.
Yeah.
Just let it out, because if you don't, it will one way or another manifest in another way. So express that emotion. If you feel like crying, cry. It's okay.
Yeah.
It is part of the healing process. Then now know that this trauma, this thing has affected me, but I cannot do anything about it. It was beyond my control. What is it that I need to do to learn to live this now life differently? For example, someone has gotten into an accident and has lost their limb. They cannot go back to redo what happened. But from here, what should I do as a person to start coping, to get to cope with the loss or with the trauma? So I have lost my child, I have lost my spouse, I have lost a friend. I will never see this person again. But I have got to get a way of now living without them. So you have to get strategies of how to live without this, to live differently.
Yeah.
And if those people that suppress the pain and all that, sometimes they end up getting into depression. And now you're starting to treat something that you didn't have to
It gets worse.
It gets worse. Worse. I have a case that was brought yesterday of a lady who lost a pregnancy, and the pregnancy was around 7 months, and she's been in depression, and the family didn't know. For 1 year, she's never left the house. So she just wakes up, eats, showers when she feels like. So after 1 year is when the family is thinking she's gone mad, according to them. She has gone mad because she just one day saw, I think, the man that impregnated her, and now she's talking things that nobody can understand. But you see, this is something that was not handled the right way. Maybe they assumed it was just a pregnancy, but already there was attachment between the mother and the child, and she has never moved from the miscarriage. So you find now when she's coming, we are not just dealing with the loss she went through. There's depression. She has to be done assessment and know what level of depression it is, to know whether she needs to be in on medication, and it's something that could have just been handled the right way.
So all in all, what we are saying is that there is help.
There is
that
help.
that people can bounce back. Pastor Caro, any parting shots for us? What do we need to do from here going forward?
What I can say is that if maybe you're experiencing any form of grief, or you've gone through any form of trauma, just because you're feeling angry or you're feeling a lot of pain doesn't make you less a child of God. Because sometimes we find when people are grieving, there are people who will tell them, "Apana, that is not right. You need to come out of it." Even Jesus himself grieved. Even Jesus himself felt forsaken. At the cross, he got to this place, the pain was so much, it was unbearable. And even if he knew that was the only process that he had to go through to save mankind, he got to this place and told God, "My Father, why have you forsaken me?" So the place, I would tell you, the safest place for you to pour out what you feel, to express what you feel, your anger, your frustration, is at the cross of Jesus, because he knows, he as a human being felt exactly what we feel, and he understands. So just because you're feeling angry and you're going through loss, you're going through grief, you have these negative emotions you're having, even as you're going through the process, doesn't mean that God has rejected you, or doesn't mean that God just judges you as a bad person. He understands your pain, and he is willing to even heal that wound that has been left by that traumatic experience. So take it at the cross of Jesus, and don't assume that just by praying it's gonna go away. Please be in touch with what you feel, and let God know exactly what you feel. If you feel he's frustrated you, speak it to him. He's not insecure that he's going to judge you or make you feel like you're a bad person. If Jesus himself could tell God, "My Father, why have you forsaken me?" Yet the Bible tells us that he never leaves us, he never forsakes us. So the safest place for you to express what you feel is at the feet of Jesus.
Awesome, awesome. This has been such a great time hanging out. What a night, what a show, talking about trauma, all the way from things like bullying to loss and grief. But help is on the way. So kindly reach out for help. Don't just stay there and be depressed. Rise from trauma. This has been your host, Mwangi Chege, here at Candid Conversation Season 3. And kindly hook up with us next week, same time, same place. God bless. Cheers. Bye.
Outburst is a training consultancy firm mostly known for excellent team building training. We focus on coming up with activities that address the issues at the workplace.
When an organization recruits, it's important that the skills learned in school are aligned with the needs of the organization. This is where we come in as Outburst to train both indoors and outdoors.
We focus on the client's needs. From travel to the activities that we enhance you in. We look at the company objectives and the areas of growth, and we customize activities to then meet those needs.
We take time to listen to our clients, and then from that now we come up with a program that's totally different.
Outburst offers several packages to clients.
We do training, we do camp, we do expedition.
We have the good to great package, which is a team building product that addresses trust, effective communication, team synergy, fun and bonding, and above all, strategy and execution.